I realized that I have so many journals that I have started and not finished, and so I'm going to resist the temptation to start new projects until I have finished these journals. So I have a few of them here that I'm going to be working on today, and I've kind of approached it by sort of we'll work in bits and we'll do different pages at a time, which works really well actually for this paint sample journal that I've got because it lays out so flat so I can work on multiple pages at once. So I'm going to be trying something new here. So I got some modeling paste, which I wanted to try for the longest time to do some texture, and I've got these stencils that were a lot larger actually when they arrived than I thought they would be. But they are different like floral patterns, and so I don't know if this is like the correct way to do this. Like I said, I've literally never tried this before, so I was just having a go and seeing what would work and what wouldn't. I'm just experimenting, I suppose, within these journals and not being too precious about it. And I can always take the page out if it doesn't turn out. So my first attempt here, I did it on top of this like pale green paper that I had, and I thought that the white looked really nice on top of it. It's not showing up the best on camera. I'm trying to show you here the pattern and the texture, but it does look really pretty in person. And so whilst I was waiting for it to dry, the great thing about working in this journal was that I was able to do a couple more of the pages in different stencils whilst I was waiting for it to dry. So I just did a couple of the floral ones and I tried it on different papers because I wasn't sure what would work and what wouldn't. And I quickly learned that tracing paper was not the best for using this modeling paste on, probably because it's too thin. So it kind of all went wrinkly. And I did end up taking it out of the journal because it just didn't work. But you'll see later on in this video, it did actually come in handy for something else. So you'll see it pop up in another journal spread. So but I do really like the way that it looks on the brown paper and the pop that it has. So you can see there's my two favorites there from trialing that. And then I did a couple of those and I was feeling brave. So hold your breath because now I'm going in straight for this altered book cover, which I really, really love. And for the longest time, I thought that was it. I'm not going to do anything else to this cover. But I was just curious and I just thought, wouldn't this look nice with like a little bit of the white modeling paste in the corners? So I just thought, you know what? We're going to be brave. We're going to go for it. And the only way I'm going to know how it's going to turn out is if I actually do it. So I decided just to add it onto the corners. I didn't go overboard and, add it across the whole of the cover, but I just thought that the white might pop quite nicely on the dark green. And I did sort of layer it a little bit over the flower as well, just to help it blend in slightly and so that it wasn't like a bit disjointed on the cover. So I was feeling really nervous as I was doing this and sort of thinking like, oh gosh, what have I done when I was peeling it off. But actually I was pleasantly surprised, and this is one of those moments where it did turn out the way that I thought it would in my head, and I'm actually really pleased with the way that this looks. I think it's just the right amount of like that mixed media feel without being too overbearing, and the contrast as well, I think, and the lightness that it brings to the cover, I really, really like. So I'm pleased that I did that, and it dried down really nicely. It's got like a little bit of a nice raised sort of texture to it, and I think it fits obviously the theme really well with the florals as well. And so the next thing I did in my experimenting with this modeling paste is that I decided to use some coffee staining and just apply it onto certain areas of this green paper, not all of it, but I just wanted to see how it would dry down and whether it would make a mess basically, or whether it might add a little bit of warmth to this page. And you can see there the way it's obviously resisted a bit on where I applied the modeling paste. So I think that was a success, and that's probably something that I'm going to do maybe on some like ephemera. I think it would look really nice on like tags on the edges or something. So that was a win. And like I said, you don't know how these things are going to turn out unless you actually try them within your journals. So if you have used modeling paste in your journals, I'd love to know if you have any like tips or techniques to try, because like I said, I am totally new to this. I've seen it in other people's journals, but I've never actually tried it out myself. So I'd love to see what sort of different things I might be able to use it for within my journals. So now I'm working on doing a bit of like collage, and I have these washi stickers. So these are very similar to that like large pad of botanical washi stickers that I have no idea where they've come from. But these are slightly smaller and they are stamps. And so I'll leave a link down below where I got them from, just if you are curious, because I always feel bad that I don't know where the other pad came from. And so these are very, very similar and I really love them. So not like ad or sponsored or anything, but just I'll leave the link if you are curious. I'm definitely going to be using a lot of these, I think, within my journals. So this is the piece that I tried on tracing paper, like I said, that I've torn out of my journal. There's quite a few pages within this anyway, and so I figured like it wouldn't be a huge loss. And the thing I'm tending to do with this journal is tipping in a lot of stuff and sort of having that eclectic look of journals, where you have different page sizes and different materials. Like I think the skinny format of this journal is lending itself to that, because I'm able to have pages that maybe show through like at the top or at the bottom, not so much obviously like at the sides because the width isn't wide enough, but it's slightly different to be able to play with the way that like tags, for example, show through, or like I have a page where it's like a postcard and it's like a fold out. So I'm really enjoying just like working in this. As you can see, it's just so satisfying to open it up. I think I just love the way that I could have it laid out on my desk and work in like honestly like 4 or 5 of the different signatures at once. So you don't have to worry necessarily about waiting for something to dry. You can just like move on to the next thing. Or it's really great as well if you want to like if you do some stamping and you can stamp across like multiple different pages. And I think it's just a really fun way to see how the different papers like look and interact with each other, the different like colors and textures. So I'm loving not like rushing through this journal. Like I know at the start of the video I mentioned like I have so many unfinished journals and I need to finish them, but I don't mean it in a sense of like there's a time limit and I'm trying to rush to finish them. I just mean it more in the sense like I want to focus and work on this project and see where it takes me, and hopefully not get too distracted by other things. But that's very hard when you have so many like journals and craft projects and things that you want to try. But that's what I mean by that. My goal is more like I want to sort of slowly like get a bit more invested, I suppose, in the process of this book, and sort of make a bit more progress as well, I suppose, because I have all of these signatures on one side, and this is actually like a sort of accordion style type journal. So we have a whole other side of this journal to work on. Now, this will probably get quite chunky, so I probably won't like have signatures on the other side. I mean, maybe I might do a couple, but I can't envision like having too much, because that would be like a really chunky journal, and I don't know how that would work with the size of it. But because you can lay it flat, like you kind of forget how chunky it's going to get, because you don't notice like one side sort of being more like raised than the other. So maybe I'll work on it like a bit more like flat on the reverse, and then again that's like a whole different sort of way of working, because it's more like the no-sew journals that I've done in the past, where you can work across like multiple different pages, and there's just different ways that the like ephemera and the stamping and collage and everything can look on those. But equally, I'm just really enjoying these little like mini signatures here. So as you can see, I've used the backing of the stickers that I got and trimmed that down to size just for this part of the page. Added some like washi tape and some collage. And then I've also come in with a white pen to do some detailing. So I actually picked up some new white pens. So these are the white Uniball Signo, and I actually picked up a broad tip as well. So I'm looking forward to using that within my journals. You'll see in a moment I actually did some line work, which wasn't something I was intending to do, but you know when you're just sort of like in the flow and then you start just thinking like, oh, what if I do this? Like I feel a lot more free and able to do that within this journal. I don't know why. I feel like I just haven't put as much like pressure on myself to make things like perfect within this, and so I'm able to just have that more like free and easy approach to it, I guess. Like I'm literally just throwing everything at this. I'm like, oh, what if I like add this piece of collage, or like add this rub-on sticker, or different like tags and things, and having sort of a, I don't want to say cluttered look to it, but that like sort of loads of detail and different like bits and pieces going on, if you know what I mean. Like I think that's why it was taking me so long to get through the first signature, which I still haven't finished, but I just kept like adding extra bits, and I actually was just really enjoying that process and not worrying too much about like, am I adding too much to this, because it was just fun to do, quite honestly. So you can see here I was testing out where to put some book paper, and then I realized that when I'd added the backing paper here, I'd actually made it a pocket because I'd added a paper clip, and so I sort of extended that slightly to make it a little bit more obvious that that's what was going on. And so now I'm thinking I need to make like a tag or something to go inside that little tuck spot that I've created, and have something within that. So I'm not quite sure what I will do for that. I'm sort of thinking now as I'm looking at this and doing the voiceover, I'm like, what if I cut like a circle or like an opening within the card, like sort of towards the top, and had maybe like some vellum or tracing paper, and you know, like a bit of a transparency so that you can actually see what's in the pocket. Because I think that's the thing sometimes with pockets and tuck spots, is that I almost feel bad for the things that are in the pockets and the tuck spots because you can't see them. Like I know you obviously take them out and things, but like when you have the sort of page built, they aren't necessarily part of that unless you see the parts sort of peeking through. And so I'm thinking I might need to take my craft knife to that and do a little bit of surgery and create an opening in the pocket. What do you think? Maybe I'm just like thinking of too many ideas as I'm watching this back. I then moved on to another page where I just added some decoration. I think that's one of the nice things about working like this as well, is that I'm not creating like a whole page from start to finish. I'm just sort of like moving from different pages and adding little bits of ephemera or collage or decoration, and you know, then I can obviously come back to that whenever I'm working on it again and build on it. Because sometimes I feel like when you create pages like that, when you do a little bit, go away from it, come back to it, etc., like I feel like that's when my best pages evolve, is when I'm not necessarily forcing myself to do it all in one go. So I'm really enjoying that process and working on it in that way. Like you can see here, like I cut out that floral and I thought I was going to include it within the paint sample journal, and then I just thought, you know what, this might actually work really nicely on one of the backgrounds that I prepared in my previous video, if you saw that, where I was doing the preparing of the backgrounds in this altered book with some collage. And so I just thought, oh, that would look really nice, like it was the perfect shape and size for that. So I stuck that in there, and then I carried on with what I was doing. So I'm using another one of these backings here, and I thought that maybe I'll just include that like similar to how I did the other one, and just have it as sort of a full page, like use all of the imagery. Now I did have to like rip off the edge where it was too wide for this page, but what I actually ended up doing was sort of using it in the altered book. So I had the same imagery and like technique almost, but I was using it across the two different books. And the technique that I did in the altered book, you'll see I carried it over then into the paint sample journal. So it was a really fun process of sort of working on the two of these and seeing how like something that I did in the paint sample book, like here for example with that sort of failed quote unquote modeling paste experiment, I then brought it into the altered book, and I thought, well, maybe that would just be really nice as like some background texture, and you can sort of see the way that that shows up there on the page. So it's not like completely taking over, but it's just some background like collage fodder almost. And so, that's then gone into this book, and I actually really enjoyed having multiple journals like open and on my desk and working in them together, because I was able to just sort of take things from one to the other and try different things. And so you can see here the part that I took from the paint sample book that was too wide, I then just stuck that into the altered book, and it went really well with the color scheme that I had going on there. It was like the perfect size pretty much. And so what I did was I came in with my white pen, and I started to do my like normal like mark making, bits of like dots and things. And then I thought, what if I actually traced the like leafy part here and just accentuated it with the white pen? And I really liked the way that that made it pop and sort of gave it that more like altered feeling. So rather than me just like sticking this directly into the book, I was able to sort of blend it in a bit with what I had going on and sort of make it more my own in a way. And just kept adding lots of different scribbly marks, as you can see there. But I just really liked the way that that helped to give some contrast. And so doing that then gave me the idea to add the same outlining onto the tracing paper that was actually over the top of this piece. So I thought about doing the same, just like drawing over the card. And then I thought, actually, wouldn't it be really cool if I did this but over the tracing paper, so you have that like layered effect with this. And I really like the way that this popped and gave a bit more of an interactive feel to this page. And I'm not quite sure how I will like finish this page, maybe create a pocket, or I don't know, there's different things that I could do with pages that look like this. So let me know in the comments if you have any ideas for how you think I should do this. I mean, maybe I should just sort of like not overdo it and just lean into the fact that it's a really cool like layered almost like ghosted effect. Like maybe it just needs a little bit of a subtle collage cluster on top of the tracing paper, like with some stamping and sort of a little bit of detail, but not something that's overbearing for this page. That's definitely something that I've learned with working on tracing paper, is not to add too much to it, because not only does that like defeat the point of the fact that it's tracing paper, but also sometimes it can be like a little bit too heavy and just overbearing for it. So I definitely have to rein it in sometimes when it comes to working on tracing paper. These little bits here are actually from an old sketchbook, and I just figured why not cut them out and maybe include them within this. I ended up tucking it into the pocket just as somewhere to keep it, because like pages like this, like they'll often just sort of get lost, and so I figured why not include it within this journal. But it might just sit in that pocket, it might turn into something on the page. I just thought that having my own drawings in this might be a nice touch. So I added a little bit of text here with this washi tape, sort of bridging the gap between two of the pages and trying to sort of make it look a little bit more cohesive. But you can see here I'm just sort of looking and seeing what else I might want to add onto those pages. But that is pretty much everything that I created whilst I was working on two journals at the same time. So I hope you enjoyed joining me for this. Oh yeah, I did add some, how could I forget? I did add some of these washi like circle stickers. They're in some really fun colors, and I thought that they would just add a nice pop to the page. They kind of feel to me like a little bit more modern almost, but they're a really nice pop of color on a page. And so yeah, that is everything that I created. So I hope you enjoyed joining me for this journaling session, and I'll see you in the next one.